but you don't trust this person. Let's say it's a kid, you don't trust the kid, or someone you don't trust the shar'an, or you think that they're joking with you, and you don't do the tahqiq and research yourself that, okay, so is it fajr or not, and you do something that makes the salah, the fajr, the fasting bottle, such as eating, and then you, after that, you realize that no, that person was actually true. It was soap, and you didn't listen, or you didn't trust that person, and you didn't research yourself. In this case, that you should do the qaza only after Ramadan. The other situation is that someone who you trust that person. You trust that person that whatever he says is correct. It's usually don't make a mistake. Or you made a mistake that you trust this person. What they say is correct. And then if you do iftar, and then after that you realize that, oh, it was not the time of iftar yet, it was not azan maghrib yet. In this case, either way, because you broke your fast before the azan maghrib, you need to what? You need to fast qaza of that day after Ramadan. So what happened here? Listen to someone who you trust that person, or you made a mistake and you trust that person, it was not really trustworthy. You do the iftar, and then you realize it's not maghrib yet. So you do the qaza of that again. So what happened here? These occasions and these situations that we are mentioning are among those situations that you have to do qaza only, no kafara. And then you have realized, because you don't doing it, you did it mistakenly. It's not mandatory that you're doing it, right? So that's the case. The other situation is that you are sure that it's maghrib yourself, or however you have the yaqeen and certainty that it's maghrib, and then after that you realize that it's not maghrib. After years it's not maghrib, then you have to do it. So yes, you didn't make a mistake because you thought you had the certainty that it's not maghrib, but the fact is that you didn't wait until maghrib, and you broke your fast not in a time that you were supposed to break your fast. You broke it before the time, which is fast time. So in this case, you have to do the qaza after maghrib. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help us and give us tawfiq to have the, inshallah, sahih and correct a'mal, and we ask him to accept all these a'mal from us, inshallah, with the barakat of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah Maulana for the nice akam of Ramadan words. Before I invite the next speaker for the day today, I would like all of you to please recite 1 time Surah Fatiha and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for all Marumeen. Include those for whom there is no one to recite, your own Marumeen, and those for today's sponsor. It has a big list. And that list is Afsar Hussain, Sarwar Hussain, Zakia Khatun, Agar Hussain, Shamsun Nisa, Basirun Nisa, Shabir Hassan, Shahryar Bano, Kanir Bano, Asmat Fatima, Sayyid Muhammad Qadim Musavi, Wilayat Unsiya, Begum Sayyid Abdul Fazal Musavi, Mir Qadim Ali Ul Hussain, Sayyid Sadiq Hussain Rizvi, Sakina Begum, Urf Shahnaz, Sayyida Ashraf, Agha Mirza, Abdul Amir, Mir Tahir Ali Beg. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Brothers and sisters, you might have to wait a few more minutes. We have not seen our next speaker yet. He will be joining shortly. Okay, our next guest speaker is here now, and I invite him to please start his beautiful lecture today.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا العبد المؤيد والرسول المصدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين روحي وأرواحنا وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations on the 15th of Ramadan, anniversary of the Wilada and the birth of our second Imam, Karim Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of the ziyarah of Ahlul Bayt, especially Imam Hassan in the city of Medina, and also give us that life to see the day that once again the ziyarah of Imam Hassan is built and is rebuilt, and we also receive the intercession and shafa'at of the Ahlul Bayt, especially the Kareem of Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, inshaAllah. It was an honor for me to be with the community of Islamic Center of Zahra for the last 5 nights. Today and tonight is our final night together, and inshallah try to conclude our discussion, which it doesn't mean we were able to cover and discuss every possible angle of this subject, which is healing through the Quran, rather than based on the time and based on the opportunity that I was able to present this subject. Inshallah, we were able to offer and shed some light on this subject, and we'll be able to have tawfiq from Allah to exercise, implement the teachings of the Quran and the teachings of our religion and the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt in our daily life, inshallah. On the wilad of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, one thing I want you to remember, which is related to our subject as well, is that our Imam alayhi salam was known for his generosity, and we have stories about that. I mentioned that twice in his life he donated and he gave away everything he owned for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3 times he gave away half of all he owned and possessed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his character and akhlaq of being so forgiving, so noble, made him a personality that was loved by not only his followers and those who loved him, but even his enemies. They professed and they admitted to his nobility, his generosity, and his character, his akhlaq as well. One example of a very famous and well-known story is a person from Sham, the modern Syria, from the territory of Bani Umayyah and Muawiyah, came, and he, as soon as he found out who Imam Hassan alayhi salam is, he began to curse. He was a subject of a lot of propaganda by Muawiyah and by Bani Umayyah, not only about Imam Hassan, but also about Imam Ali alayhi salam, that he started cursing, disrespecting, and unimaginable words and curses were uttered. And Imam, in return, after he finished, he exhausted himself with his anger. Imam alayhi salam said, I think you're not from this town. I think you're a traveler. You're a stranger. Why are you so angry? Are you hungry? Are you in need of shelter? You can be our guest. We will welcome you. We will show you our hospitality. If you need if you need help to retrieve your wealth or your mal, we're here to help you. That's the way, as Quran said, uh, if somebody greeted you, try to return the greet بأحسن منها أو مثلها. Try to return the good and greet with what is better or even at least equivalent and the same. So imagine somebody like Imam Hassan alayhi salam to return someone's disrespect with generosity and honor. That's the character that we're looking to build. قُلْ كُلٌّ يَعْمَلُ عَلَى شَاكِلَتِهِ. That character we refer to, and the importance of recognizing how to heal our character. We have flaws of character and we need to heal them to build the character, and we need examples for that. Because you may say how practical it is for us to become like that. Is there a living example, or is there anyone who reached that level or that status? And we could say yes. Look at the life of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and you'll be able to see a human being who's capable of living a life and return evil and return injustice with justice, return disrespect with kindness. It is possible. There is a hadith by Imam Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam said, لو علم الناس محاسن كلامنا لاتبعونا. If people, they would have known the beauties of our teaching. They know the beauties of our words and our kalam. لاتبعونا. They would have definitely followed us. They would have picked to learn from us and follow our teaching. So Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are ma'adinul hikmah. They are the mines of wisdom. They are treasures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed them for us to have the access to. And Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, regardless of even if people abandon them. You know, we say about Imam of our time that the Imam of our time benefit humanity the same way sun will benefit people in a cloudy day. Still, inhabitants of the earth, the creations, the nature will benefit from a cloudy day from the sun. People still benefit from the Imam. And the Imam is that benefit. That even when people abandon the Imam, when people abandon Imam Hassan alayhi salam, when Imam, the same way they abandoned Imam Ali alayhi salam when he faced Muawiyah, they abandoned Imam Hassan when he faced Muawiyah. And they accepted the bribes and the money over the guidance, over the haqq and the truth that was Imam Hassan. But still, after Imam returned to Medina, he didn't abandon people. He still offered people with generosity and kindness. He still offered them wisdom, ahadith and teachings that they are valuable, they're precious. So I want you again to remember, as Fatima Zahra said, that the example of the Imam is like Kaaba, right? That people have to come to Kaaba, not the other way around. People have to accept and choose that they want to follow the Imam. But at the same time, Imam alayhi salam will not abandon people, will not abandon. He still tried to guide people. The same way Abu Abdullah Hussein on the day of Ashura, he still warned them, advised them. He asked him, Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, said, my brother, go and talk to them. This is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with this creation. You know, there are beautiful phrases of dua iftitah. In this dua, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said, Ya Allah, how kind, how merciful, how forgiving you are. And in return, how disrespectful, arrogant, ungrateful I am. وتتحبب إلي وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك كأن لي التطول عليك فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. Ya Allah, you show compassion, you show kindness and mercy to me, and I don't accept it from you, and I turn away from you, as if that I have something to offer you, as if I have some right over you, Ya Allah. That's the way I'm ungrateful. But that doesn't stop you, Ya Allah. That doesn't stop you. فَلَمْ يَمْنَكَ ذَلِكَ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ لِي وَالْإِحْسَانِ إِلَيْ. It doesn't stop you from being merciful to me, and have mercy upon me, and be kind to me. Representatives of God, Hujjajullah, in the time of the prophets, Ahlul Bayt, and even before that, in the time of the previous Anbiya of Allah, the role of an ambassador, a divine representative of God, is to treat people the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will treat people. As Quran said about the Prophet, لو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. Ya Rasulullah, God forbid, if you were hard-hearted, if you were harsh, people would have scattered, people wouldn't come to you. It was because of your mercy, kindness that people came. Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they were in their actions, in their method, they are awliya Allah, they are friends of Allah, companions of Allah. So their attitude, their approach toward people is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with mercy. The same way we said dua after that, Ya Allah, you don't abandon me. Even when I turn away from you, even when I break my promises, you give me chances. You don't stop your mercy. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, even after they were abandoned, after they were left alone, they did not give up on people. Still, they benefit people. Imam Zain al-Abidin, imagine that because of those people who broke their promises, they wrote letters and then they did not fulfill their promise. They gave up on their covenants. The tragedy of Karbala took place. But Imam returned, and still for the sake of guidance of people and humanity, offered through dua and supplication to revive and to bring life again to the dead soul of the Muslim Ummah. That's what the Imam says. The role of the Imam is a reviver, is the one who help people, benefit people, enlighten people, even after they've abandoned and turned away. We should be grateful for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Regardless of what we do, regardless if we are worthy or not, they still offer guidance. And today we have that guidance. We have Quran. We have Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that was preserved by the Ahlul Bayt. We have Ahlul Bayt ﷺ's heritage and legacy. So our job and our responsibility is to recognize it, to study it, then implement them. So Imam Hassan al-Islam offered his support for community even after he returned to Medina, was teaching people through his generosity. So because again, if somebody's faqir, we have hadith that said, al-faqru ayyakada kufra. Poverty has that power to push people to the brink of kufr and disbelief. That's why in Islam we have all these wajib and mustahab rulings regarding sadaqah, regarding zakat, khums, fitriya, all these different forms, to make sure that we're going to fight and combat poverty. that salat and zakat were joined in the statements in Quran. يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون were joined in Quran. Infaq is always there. That's why Imam Hassan first fought against poverty with his generosity, with offering help. If somebody had a problem and come to Imam Hassan, Imam would offer help. Before we teach someone about ethics, about right and wrong, we need to make a leveling field prepared for people to be able to be good. It's not a justification for crimes, it's not justification for haram, but at the same time, when somebody's hungry, when somebody have no shelter, when somebody's family is hungry, how they're going to listen and be attentive. So Imam Islam did the first step of making sure helping people in need, and then teach them. How beautiful that is. As a community, inshallah, that should be our approach as well. Alhamdulillah, a lot of communities are doing great works. And in addition, inshallah, we have our majalis, we have our programs and religious education, spiritual education that has to be there. We also, if we see somebody's in need, we offer them help. We make sure, help them to better themselves, to be able to become independent, to be able to provide for themselves and their families. If we can come up with initiatives or in that regard, that's the method we have to follow. So Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he's done that through generosity and teaching people. But our subject was about self-purification. So Imam's teaching is in that direction. One teaching of the Imam was about the dealing with propaganda. Imam said the difference between haqq and batil are arba asabi, there are 4 fingers. And then Imam placed his hand on his cheek. Said what you see is haqq, and what you see, a lot of what you hear is false, batil. That's the way Imam is enlightening people, guiding people. Or as saying, husnul su'al nisful jawab, asking a good question is half of the answer. So is where you put your curiosity, where you ask questions, what kind of question you ask is also very important, not just the answer. These are just samples of his wisdom. But his sincerity, who walked for Hajj 20 times, from Medina to Mecca, there are around 400, 500 kilometers. With sincerity, he walked for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is generous. He cares for people and taking a step to eliminate poverty, one step at a time. He is sharing his knowledge and wisdom, and he is obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He takes step in the path of servitude as well. But sincerity is the key, my dear brothers and sisters. The sign of Ahlul Bayt and followers of Ahlul Bayt was sincerity, and the sign of the followers of Muawiyah and Bani Umayyah, where everything was a show, everything was a facade, a sham. There was nothing real. With Yazid and Muawiyah and the dynasty of Bani Umayyah, what they were looking for is pretending that we have ambitions for power, we're going to use religion as a pawn. So we need to, inshallah, look for sincerity. We need to fight Riyah. And we talked about that. I'm not going to repeat that, but I'm going to, inshallah, wrap up our discussion on the subject of healing through the Quran, especially with sincerity, and getting rid of Riyah, pretending, posing, and we talk about the signs of them, and we talk about the underlying cause. The underlying cause was self-worth. If somebody's not aware of their self-worth, they look for confirmation from outside, from people. That's what they want to be seen. That's why they're alone. They are not motivated. When they're in private, they don't have any ambition to do anything good. Why? Because they don't know their self-worth. So step number one, to know your self-worth. And we talk about social media playing a role in this toxic cycle of showing off and riyah. Because that would make it easier to do riyah. Before, for somebody to do riyah, they should go to masjid, to some public place and do riyah. Now people can do riyah in the comfort of their house. And we talk about the studies, the Cornell study that talked about people who were affected, their self-esteem was affected by social media, by Facebook usage. But there were people who were not affected, and there were the people that they had purpose. The study said, again, those who had purpose, they were self-directed, they were looking for future, they were beneficial to others. Those who had these kind of purposes, they were least affected by social media interaction. Their self-esteem was already stable. They did not look for the boost of self-esteem from social media. And I'm saying it, we're not saying, okay, social media is evil or anything. No, I'm not trying to take to that extreme, but I'm saying for somebody to look for the boost of self-esteem through social media, through the number of likes, through the number of comments or views that they get, is unhealthy. Why? Because it's not sustainable. You cannot continue that forever. Self-esteem is come from within. How much you worth yourself, your time. You recognize your potentials. So also we talk about that there is another underlying cause for riyah, and that's instant gratification. People who do riyah, they do it because they want to get the reaction right away. Because when you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe it's not as evident as I said, immediate result as you're looking for. Yes, in long run, in the long run, with patience, not only in akhirah Allah will reward you, but even in dunya you will be rewarded. You will find blessings of your good deeds in your life, even in dunya. For example, we have that certain good deeds that will prolong your life. For example, Silay Rahim is one of the factors for somebody's long life. But it is not immediate. It is not immediate. So it's not like as I pray right now, something right away happen. But for people who are doing riyah, they see some kind of reaction, people's nodding, right? That he prayed, people approval, people's compliment. They are immediate gratification. That's another reason that people do riyah, because of instant gratification. And there are studies about the importance of raising children who are not hooked on instant gratification, that they're not addicted to instant gratification. Because we need patience, we need sabr, not just in Quran, but even in studies. There is a study done in Stanford, is known as marshmallow. The instant gratification study called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment Study. It was done in 1972. So their study is about, they asked a group of children and they offered them one marshmallow in a room. The conductor and the instructor said, okay, yeah, you can have this marshmallow. But if you wait for, let's say, 15 minutes, we call delayed gratification, exercising some kind of patience. They told children that if you wait for 15 minutes and don't eat this marshmallow, you'll get another marshmallow, or you get pretzel, whatever you like. So you get a reward. Or you can have the marshmallow right now. And then they left the room. But the study is important, it has a follow-up later on, years later. So some children, they picked up the marshmallow and they enjoyed it right away. And there were those who waited, and they delayed gratification. They wait for the extra marshmallow or the prize. Later on, when they've done studies, they figure out that those measurable factors that they can measure, that for example, the SAT scores, those a student who waited 15 minutes, they did better in their SAT scores. They were less involved in substance abuse. They were better and when it comes to their job opportunities and college admissions. So it affected them. Of course, there are other factors. We don't want to deny it, that it was important that those children came from what kind of neighborhood and what kind of socioeconomical status. It also impacts their future. Faqr and poverty is a factor. But beside those other factors, they saw that those who they showed and they exercised some kind of self-control and patience, those children they end up being more accomplished and successful students later on. So delayed gratification is not only good for our akhirah, which Quran said, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. All these promises of Allah, that if you're looking for the glad tiding, for the promise of salvation, for the companionship of Allah, patience, patience, patience. So we need to exercise patience. And people who do riyah, they are also impatient. It's connected to another spiritual illness, which is impatience. That's why in our tradition it's been recommended to our anbiya and prophets. They used to do gardening, and it's also mustahab to do farming and gardening. Why? Because one thing you learn is that when you plant a seed, you don't go and dig out the seed a few hours later to get, oh, where's the tree? It's good to teach our children, of course, don't force them, encourage them, especially the younger they are, to help us with gardening. So they learn that not everything is like a video game that you turn on and there is a game and then you push some buttons and you see it right away. Or YouTube or anything else. These are all examples of instant gratification. They want something, it's there. Rather than, okay, you go and plant the seed and then you water it and then you take care of it and you wait. It teaches us in life that's the way it is. Same thing when it comes to accomplishment. In order to get what you want, including education, something you have to be patient, you have to study until it takes you to where you want. So that was the second underlying cause of riyah, is lack of patience, is instant gratification, that people are looking for immediate result for their salat, immediate result and reaction to their good deeds. That's why they show off, to get that. But those who understand delayed gratification, the promise of Allah is for those who are sincere. The barakah in life comes from anonymous work, from sincere work was concealed and is hidden. And we have tradition about that, that Imam Rida alayhi salam said, Al-mustatir bil-hasana ta'adilu sab'ina hasana. The one who they conceal, they hide their hasana, their good deeds, they will be rewarded sab'ina hasana. They will be rewarded 70 times more than, of course, not concealing and not hiding. This is the delayed gratification. If you wait enough, it will be rewarded that way. Because people's gratification is, again, temporary. But if Allah give you izzah, إِنَّ الْعِزَّةَ لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا, the true honor, dignity, and honor is belong to Allah and to the one that He wants. If people give you dignity like Muawiyah and Yazid, the people of the time, they give him gratitude and bow down in front of him for his money. But where is he now? Where is his honor and greatness? And Abu Abdullah Hussein's companions of 72 people. If Allah wants to elevate you, who can stop it? The gratification is, Allah said, Thar Allah wabna thar. You're somebody that Allah will guarantee your sacrifice and your blood. And he's loved by millions of people. And even, in India, there are Hindus who love Hussein alayhi salam. Around the world, there are Christians who love Hussein alayhi salam. That's the business you do with Allah. If Allah wants to elevate you, nothing can stop it. If you try to go through people forget things. Especially right now with the short cycle of fame, especially TikTok right now, people have become famous in a matter of days and done. Everything has a cycle. You're famous, you're known, you get the gratification, and but it's for a while, for a couple of years maximum. And you're obsolete, you're irrelevant. But for Allah, nothing. Every small good or evil, especially your good, will never be forgotten. But let me finish also, this will be the ending of my lecture, is about praise, which we said about we should not do it for compliment. But at the same time, as a receiver of benefit, of somebody who receives people's good, we should not sit down quietly. We should compliment when we have to. Right? We have a hadith and tradition on that. The hadith said, Imam Ali said, إِذَا صُنِعَ إِلَيْكَ مَعْرُوفٌ فَاذْكُرْ. When some kind of good has been done to you, then you have to remember it. You have to remind it. You have to say it. Yes, when I do good, I should not expect compliments. I should not do it for the sake of praise and compliments. But when somebody helps me, my parents, my teacher, my spouse, my children, my sibling, anyone, my friend, if they help me, don't sit down quietly. So, oh, it was your job. Allah will reward you. I'm not going to say anything so you may be arrogant or riyah. No. Our responsibility is to praise when it's due. Don't exaggerate. Don't overdo it, but in the proper manner, it has to be done. There is a hadith by Imam Zain al-Abidin. Imam says, أَمَّا حَقُّ ذِي الْمَعْرُوفِ عَلَيْكَ. There is a right over you from someone who helped you. ذِي الْمَعْرُوف is somebody who did help you somehow. They did some good to you. And that could be financially, could be spiritually, educational wise. They help you somehow. They did some good, not somebody who pushed you to be misguided or tempted you. No, somebody who did something good to you. They have rights over you. Imam Zain al-Abidin in the Treatise of Right, Risalatul Huquq says, one of them is فَأَن تَشْكُرَهُ, is to say thank you, is to be grateful. So your wife, your husband, your children, be grateful. Don't say it's their job, it's their responsibilities. Express gratitude for anyone who do any good work. Don't exaggerate, but when it's due, you have to give it. Don't undermine it either. Don't belittle their effort either. That's number one, to be grateful, to say thank you. وَتَذْكُرَ مَعْرُوفَهُمْ. The second one is to say his word out loud, basically to be complimentary of them behind their back. When we're sitting in a circle, rather than just remembering people's flaws and shortcomings and ghiba, and everybody have flaws. Ghiba is not tuhma, it's the truth that we say about people. Maybe we can spend some time about the good that they do. And the third one, وَتَكْسِبَهُ الْمَقَالَةُ الْحَسَنَةُ. The third one is to, when you remember them with the kindness that they had toward you. The good that they've done for you, not something that you asked more and they didn't. Remember the positive. That's the third right. And number four, وَتُخْلِصُ لَهُ الدُّعَاء فِي مَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. And the fourth right they have over you is that you pray for them between you and Allah sincerely because of the help they offered for you, because of the good they've done to you. You pray for them. So in Islam, it's not about just receive and consume help and support and good and then do nothing and don't say nothing. No, show gratitude, express gratitude. And even we have that, if you can, try to one day repay that kindness. So your spouse and they're cooking your iftar, husband, wife, regardless. Show gratitude instead of just pointing out the flaws that is too salty or too spicy or not spicy, whatever it is. Gratitude. Shall I finish with the story from Shaykh Mutahari? Said that one of the ulama said, I remember Shaykh Mutahari, my husband had a lot of guests, but when Shaykh Mutahari came over, I remember him specifically. This is the wife of this alim mentioned. Said because when he was invited over after we were done with food, he specifically came to kitchen and thanked me especially because I was the one who made. He didn't just say thank you. He did not just thank my husband, but he also thanked me and showed gratitude toward me. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of being grateful to Allah, to the rest of creation. But don't exaggerate in complimenting others. Don't push them on the brink of arrogance and pride. Rather than when is the compliment due, a proper and just compliment we have to give. A praise that is right and fair we have to give. We talked about the diseases of the heart. We started with dhulm, we talked about justice, and then we came to talk about sincerity and riyah. We talked about the symptoms of riyah. We talked about the two underlying cause of riyah, which was specifically uh, lack of knowledge of self-worth and low self-esteem, and secondly uh, was the need of instant gratification that people commit riyah. It is important to exercise patience. And lastly, we discussed the importance of showing gratitude and compliment and praise when is necessary to repay people's good with good, to acknowledge people's help. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of following the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recite the Holy Quran in the month of Ramadan, to ponder and reflect on the verses of Quran, and to follow and implement the teachings of the Quran and teachings of the true teachers of Quran, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, inshallah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Keep me in your du'as. I pray for your well-being and your health, of your iman's health, your physical, mental, and spiritual health, inshallah. Keep me in your du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Morana, for a beautiful speech. Today is his last lecture. On the behalf of Sayyid Hadi Yassin and BOT, our sincere thanks to you by giving us a valuable time and beautiful lectures. And this concludes our program for today. The Hafiz.